One of the great passages in the Mishle or the Proverbs is chapter 31. I would like to go through this great text, especially beginning at verse 10 through the end, in which it deals with eshet-hayil, wife of valor. It's a beautiful text. It's classic. And I would like to go through this, think about it, look at the Hebrew, and try to understand the grammar as well as a brief kind of commentary or interpretation. It comes at the end of Mishle, the Proverbs, and basically throughout the book, he's dealt with a number of issues. We've seen the negative, immoral women, like for example in chapter 5 and 7. Here we have this beautiful picture of the ideal wife. And I like to call Janet my eshet-hayil A+++ and multiple pluses, because this passage summarizes what the ideal wife is, and that's what my wife is to me. So I'd like to begin. It begins, and I'll be reading the Hebrew, and then I'll translate it and make some short commentary. Eshet-hayil, mi yimsa, b'rachok mepaninim mikra. By the way, this is an acrostic psalm, and so each verse from verse 10 through verse 31 will have the Hebrew alphabet. So we begin with the Aleph, eshet-hayil, eshet-hayil, going to the Aleph. So Eshet begins with the Aleph, wife of valor, a virtuous wife. Who can find? Notice Eshet is a noun and construct with hayil. It's from Isha, and so it's two nouns in construct. A wife of valor, mi yimsa, who can find? Mi is the interrogative pronoun who, and yimsa is your Qal imperfect, third masculine singular from the root matzah, to find, a lamed aleph verb. Who can find? And then the text goes on in the next phrase to say not only who can find, but the reason it's difficult to find, because the rachok mepaninim mikra, that is, her price is far above corals. Ve is your conjunction and. Rachok means far. And then we have the mem, far above or from. Peninim. Peninim means corals. And notice it's your masculine plural in your im ending. So her price is far beyond, a comparative use of the mem, beyond pearls is her mikra, her price. Notice mikra is the noun that means price. And what we have here is the the pronominal suffix, third feminine singular. And it's from the word machar, meaning, or mecher, meaning price or merchandise. So her price is far above corals. And then we move on to the next verse where we have the bait. Notice it reads, Patach ba lev bala, b'shalal lo yaksar. In other words, as we would translate this, the heart of her husband trusts in her, or can safely have confidence in her, and he has no lack of spoil, literally the Hebrew. B'shalal lo yaksar. He does not lack gain or spoil. Notice in verse 11, the first word, batach, the heart of her husband trusts. Batach is a Qal Perfect third masculine singular from the root batach. And then ba is your inseparable preposition in the bait, followed by your pronominal suffix, third feminine singular. And then lev bala, the heart of her husband. Notice lev is the word for heart, and bale is from Baal, a word that's often used for husband, and is your pronominal suffix, third feminine singular. So the heart of her husband trusts in her, and he does not lack spoil. Notice vishalal means spoil here. And so I think what we're looking at would be something like gain. He does not lack in any gain from her. In other words, she supplies and helps him so that he can safely trust in her, and by her labors and by what she does, he has found that he is well off, no doubt financially as well, because she is a great money manager, he's saying. So he has no lack of gain. Notice lo is your negative particle, and yaksar is your Qal imperfect third masculine singular from chasar, to lack. So he does not lack spoil or any gain, we could translate it. And then verse 12, we then move on with the gimel. Notice it reads gimelat hu tov velo ra kol yemei chayecha. That is, she does him good and not evil all the days of her life. What a beautiful statement here. She does him good. Gamalathu. Notice the form here is a Qal, a perfect third feminine singular from gamal, and gamal means to deal out, to do good, to deal out that which is good, we're going to see here. And so notice tov, she does him good, meaning good, and not evil. Velo ra. Lo is the negative particle, not, followed or preceded by the conjunction vav, and ra simply means evil. So she does him good and not evil. Notice all the days of her life. Kol yemei chayecha. Notice yemei is from the noun yom, and here it's in construct plural with the tzeru yod. So all the days of her life. Chaya, chayim means life, and here we have chayeha, and that ha ending is the third feminine singular, a pronominal suffix. So she does him good all the days of her life. What a beautiful, beautiful statement. And that's one of the great blessings of an eshet-hayil. And I'm so thankful that the Lord has blessed me with that. She does him good and not evil all the days of her life. And then the text goes on in verse 13. Darashat semer u pishtim v'ta'as b'chefetz kapeha. And that is, we would translate this, she seeks wool, darasha, semer, and flax, and she works. We could translate this with gladness or willingly with her hands. Notice darasha is your Qal perfect third feminine singular from darash, to seek, and semer means wool, so she seeks wool, and flax. Pishtim means flax, so she seeks wool and flax, and literally she takes delight, works with delight of her hands, with the delight of her hands. Notice vata'as is a lamed hey root from the verb asa, to do or to work. And notice be is your inseparable prefix, and chayfetz, meaning we could translate this like with delight. So she works with delight of her hands. And again, I believe we have here a noun in construct with ka peha, and ka peha actually means hands, from kaf. And notice as we look at the form here, we have a plural noun in construct with ha, the pronominal suffix, third feminine singular. So she works with diligence and with delight, or we could even render this willingly, with her hands. And it looks like she enjoyed sewing, she enjoyed her work at this time. And back here, the ladies would often be at home and would work with their hands, sewing and doing some of these household chores, I believe that the text is referring to. And so as we move on then, in next verse, verse 14, we come to hey. Hayata ka oniyot soher mimirhak tavi lachma. Mimirhak tavi lachma. In other words, notice this verse, we would translate it, she is like the ships of the merchant who brings her food from afar off, mirchak, from afar. Notice hayata is your Qal Perfect again, third feminine singular with the a suffix from haya, haya becoming hayat, and then you're adding your suffix a, third feminine suffix in this Qal Perfect form. So she is like, and notice ka means like, and then we have oniyot, like the ships of the merchant. So cher. So we have again two nouns in construct, preceded by the inseparable preposition the kaf. So as the ships, and notice the oath, we're looking at a feminine noun in construct, followed by so cher. So cher, we would translate, she is like the ships of the merchant, the one who is a merchant. And I would see this, the one who does mercantile work here, as a participial form, a Qal active participle with your o vowel followed by your etc. In the second under the second consonant, and followed by the resh. So she is like the ships of the merchant, and she brings her food from afar. Mamirchak tavi lachma, from a distant place. And notice that mem is your preposition from. The noon has assimilated. Min, mirchak. Tavo is your Qal imperfect, third feminine singular, from bo, to bring, a hollow verb, a middle weak verb. From afar, she brings her bread. Lachma, from lechem. And notice lachma, again, this noun is in construct with a, the pronominal suffix, third feminine singular. So she brings her, we would translate this food. So she brings her food from afar off. That is, she searches, we could almost say, for good values that she can find. Applying it to today, she's a bargain hunter. She brings her food, so to speak, from distant places. Maybe applying it, like I'm saying, to going out and finding things that aren't extremely expensive. So back here, we see her like the ships of the merchant. And these were ships that would carry cargo. And she is like that. She goes out and finds it and brings it back to her house. And then in verse 15, we come now to the vav. Vatakam ba'od laila, she arises while it is yet night, but titain teref leveta. Notice she gets up early, it looks like, and while it is yet night, and gives food to her household. But titain teref leveta, and even a portion to her maidens. V'chok lenaharoteha. This must have been somewhat of a wealthy home because she had maidens there as well. So she rises. Takam is your Qal imperfect, third feminine singular from kum, another middle weak verb, with the vav conversive. And she rises while it is yet night. She gets up while it's still dark, it looks like, but titain teref leveta, and she gives food for her house. Teref is a word that we can translate here, I believe, as food. So she gets up and she gives food. Actually, the word can mean pray, but I believe here we would render it food for her house. In other words, she is looking out for her home by getting up, by cooking, by preparing food. I remember growing up where, our mothers would fix cookies and we would come home from school, or homemade bread. And so I often think about this as I'm reading a text like this. So she rises while it is yet night, gives food for her house. And notice leveta is from bayit, meaning house, and beit is in construct here with a, the pronominal suffix, third feminine singular. So she gives food for her house and a portion for her maidens. The chok means portion, and lenaharoteha, meaning maidens. Notice na'arot is your feminine plural form of na'ara, and here we have ha, the pronominal suffix, again, third feminine singular. So she's looking out for her whole household here. She is a very caring person that provides food for her whole house, including the maidens that would be working there in her house. Then as we move on to verse 16, we come now to Zion. Notice it reads, Zamama sadeh v'tikahehu mipri chapecha nata'a karim. That is, if I would translate this, I would render it in verse 16. She considers a field and she takes it, or we could say she buys it from lakach. And from the fruit, mipri chapecha, from the fruit of her hands, nata'a karim. That is, or karim, excuse me. That is, she buys from the fruit of her hands. She plants, I should say, not a karim. She plants a vineyard. Notice zamama again is your Qal Perfect third feminine singular from zamam, to consider. So she considers a field, sadeh, and she takes it. But tilkahehu becomes tikkahehu. The lamed here of lakach has assimilated into the kaf, or the kof, excuse me, and she buys it. We could translate it that way. And who is your pronominal suffix, third masculine singular, put onto this Qal imperfect, third feminine singular form. So she buys it or she takes it, and from the fruit of her hands, she then plants a vineyard. Mipri chapeha. Notice mipri, min, is your preposition inseparable, or your preposition min, and the noon has assimilated in the phi here, or the p here, from the fruit of her hands, kaf meaning hand, and kafecha. Notice you have the plural noun kaf in construct with a again, or ha, the pronominal suffix third feminine singular. So from the fruit of her hands, she plants, not ta'a, and here not ta means to plant, and the final hay has dropped out or elided. And so it is basically a Qal Perfect third feminine singular from nata. She plants a karim, a vineyard. So she is very industrious, and she uses her money wisely, the text is saying. Then as we move on to the next verse, which should be verse 17, we move now to how she girds herself with strength. Chagara va'oz motneha, bate'ametz zero oteha. And I would translate this, she girds her loins with strength. Chagara is your Qal Perfect third feminine singular again. Notice the ah continues to give it away all the way through here, since we're talking about female. So it's a third feminine singular. Ba'od, she girds herself, or she girds her loins. And notice with strength. Be'oz. Oz means strength. That is your preposition. And mutne'a is meaning loins. Notice the seriyod is your showing that we're looking at a noun in construct, the plural noun with ha, your pronominal suffix, third feminine singular. And make strong her arms, or she causes her arms to be made strong. Notice this form, causes her arms to be made strong. I believe what we're looking at here is a hifil form from showing causation. That is, she girds her loins with strength. That is almost like she ties her belt around her, and she makes strong her arms. By the way, this is not a hifil, excuse me. This is a piel, but mates zero teha. Notice amatz means to make strong. Here we have a shava pathak followed by etc., doubling of the middle radical in the mem. And so it is a Qal imperfect third feminine singular from ametz, or amatz, to make strong. And then we have her arms, zeroot, feminine plural ending in the ot, in construct again with the seriyot, with the final ha, her arms. So she makes strong her arms, and, or excuse me, she girds her loins with strength, and she makes strong her arms. So here we have, like I said, the piel form followed by your feminine plural noun in zero'oteha, and then hagra, like we had said, is just your Qal perfect third feminine singular from hagar. So she girds her loins with strength and makes strong her arms. And then as we move on to verse 18, Ta'ama kitov sakra, she perceives that her merchandise is profitable or is good. Lo yikbeh belel nera, her lamp does not go out by night. And notice ta'ama is from the verb ta'am, which can mean to taste. And here she has good taste. She's able to perceive that good, kitov, is her merchandise. Sakra is the noun meaning merchandise. And notice the a again is your pronominal suffix, third feminine singular. And her lamp does not go out, or her light. Lo yikbeh. Yikbeh is from the root kabah, to be extinguished or to go out. It is the Qal imperfect third masculine singular, and ner means light, and a again is your pronominal suffix third feminine singular, and then belil, at the night. Lil is a form meaning night here. So her light goes on all night. It does not go out. By the way, when the light would go out, it would look like total loss, I think, in the ancient Near East. So the light is on all night, and I think it's looking at her again, prosperity, how she's constantly working, doing, achieving, and so forth. And often, even at that time, they would sleep with a lamp on. So that it wouldn't be in total darkness. And I think he's using that kind of idiomatic instruction, or I should say, idiomatic way of describing her industriousness. Then as we go on in verse 19, we come to Yod. Yadeha shelacha ba kishur, v'chapecha tamchu falek. That is, she lays her hand to the distaff. And notice yadecha is your noun, masculine from yad, plural, in construct with ha again, her, pronominal suffix, third feminine singular. Her hands, she sends, or she sends forth on the distaff. And shilcha is your piel perfect. Notice the I followed by the doubling of the middle radical, and the a showing that it's the third feminine singular. So her hands, she extends, or lays on the distaff, kishur, meaning distaff, and her hands hold the spindle. V'chapecha tamachu falek. Her hands hold the spindle. So we're looking at how she's, again, busy, sewing, working with her hands, and she's unselfish. Notice verse 20. She stretches out her hand to the poor. Kapa parasa laoni, or leoni, that is, she stretches out her hand again, and parasha is your cow, again, perfect, third feminine singular from parash, to stretch out to the poor, and her hand reaches forth for the needy. There's a beautiful statement here. Vidya shelacha le'evyon. And notice the verb shelacha, again, is your piel, perfect, third feminine singular from shalach, and evyon means the needy. So her hand, she reaches out to the needy, and she takes care of her house by providing clothing. Lo tira levita mishalek, that is, she is not afraid of the snow for her household. Ki ho beita lavush shanim, for her household is clothed in scarlet. Notice lo tira, lo is your negative particle, not. Tira is from yara, it's a peyod verb, third feminine singular, cow, imperfect, from yara. So she is not afraid for her house, lebeita again, bayit, becoming bait in construct with your pronominal suffix, third feminine singular, for or because of the snow. In other words, she takes care of them. And shelek means snow. It's in pause here, shalek, with the athnak, showing that we have a major pause in this verse. So she is not afraid of the snow for her house, for all of her household are clothed in scarlet. In other words, she provides warmth for them, so they don't have to worry about being cold. She's constantly taking care of them, providing warmth for them, even during the winter time is the thought here. And by the way, lavush is your cow passive participial form with your a followed by your kibbutz between the last two consonants, or in the final syllable. So she's not afraid for her house because of the snow, for all of her house are clothed. Here we have a singular, but looking at the collective idea of her whole household being clothed in scarlet. And then as we move on to the next verse, verse 22, she makes for herself coverlets. Marbadim ashata la shesh ve'argaman levusha. In other words, we could translate this, she makes coverlets or blankets for herself, and clothing, her clothing, levusha, by the way, levusha means her clothing. Her clothing is fine linen, shesh, and purple. So again, she takes good care of herself, good care of her house, and so we have a beautiful picture, again, of her industriousness and what she does. And her husband then is known at the gates. Notice verse 23, Noda ba sha'arim bala, her husband is known at the gates, b'shivto im ziknei aretz, when he sits with the elders of the land. Notice Noda is from Yada. It is known. Basically, it's a nifal participial form, passive form. So her husband, Bala, means her husband. Aj, your pronominal suffix, again, third feminine singular. Her husband is known. And by the way, this form to know is from Yada, and it was a pei vav verb at one time, vada, And so when you add the noon for the nifal, now da becomes no da, and it is a nifal participle, masculine singular. So her husband is known in the gates, bishifto, when he sits with the elders of the land. Notice there is your inseparable preposition. Shivto is from yashav, to sit, and here it's a Qal infinitive construct, which changes to shevet, but in construct with o, the pronominal suffix, third masculine singular, it becomes beshifto, when he sits, showing a temporal kind of an idea with the elders of the land. And so, in other words, he is a high official, and he's known because she has taken good care of him. And he sits among the elders, he has good dress, and so forth. She makes linen garments. Furthermore, we come back to her work again, verse 24. And notice as we read that, Sadim asata v'timkor v'chagor natana lekena ani. That is, in verse 24, she makes linen garments. Sadin means linen garments, and asata, again, is the Qal Perfect, third feminine singular from asa, and she not only makes them, she sells them. Again, showing her industriousness. V'timkor is from makar, to sell. It's a Qal Imperfect, third feminine singular from makar. So she makes linen garments and sells them, and she then gives girdles to the merchant. And notice natana is your Qal Perfect, third feminine singular from natan, and hagor means belts or girdles. So she gives belts to the kena'ani. Kena'ani is the word meaning merchant, and we're no doubt looking at possibly a word, a Phoenician trader that had the idea of a Canaanite or a merchant. So I think we could translate this. Actually, the word kena'ani means to the Canaanite, and I think it's looking again at a Phoenician trader and idiomatic of those that are merchants. So strength and dignity are her clothing. Od v'hadar levusha, and she laughs at the time to come. V'tizchak leyom acharon. That is, she's not afraid of the future. Strength and dignity are her clothing. She has a good mental attitude, and also she's able to deal then with what is to come. And notice tiska is from sahak, to laugh again, Qal Imperfect, third feminine singular, and strength, oz, v'hadar, and dignity are her clothing. Levush means clothing, and is your pronominal suffix, third feminine singular. So she opens her mouth with wisdom. Now we go on. Pi'ah patacha v'chokmah. She opens her mouth with wisdom. Her mouth, notice ha is your pronominal suffix, third feminine singular, p, the noun meaning mouth. Patacha, your Qal Imperfect, third feminine singular from patach, to open, and v'chokmah, meaning with wisdom. So she opens her mouth with wisdom. And the Torah Chesed, I love that, the law of kindness is upon her tongue. Leshonah. She's not hurtful. She's not attacking. But she is constantly kind. And I have to say, my wonderful wife, Janet, has never, and I'm being honest, said an unkind word to me. And it's to me, it's beautiful here. This text talking about the kindness that's always on her tongue. What a beautiful, beautiful quality. And then, as we move to verse 27, Sophia chalichot beita belechem atzlut lo tochel. And so I would translate verse 27. She looks well to the ways of her household, and she does not in the bread of sluggishness or idleness. She does not eat. Notice the form here, Sophia. She is looking well, from safa, to look well. Here we have I believe, a Qal participial form. She is looking well with the masculine or the feminine singular participle. Notice the O vowel, giving it away as the participial form, I believe, here in verse 27. So she looks well, actually spies out from safa. It's a lamed hay form where the hay is dropped out and we're seeing the yod reappear. These lamed hay forms were at one time, excuse me, not lamed hay, yeah, lamed hay, final hay, were at one time final yod forms. And we're sort of seeing that yod reappearing here. So she is now looking out well for the ways of her house and the bread of sluggishness. Here we have two nouns in construct, lechem atzlut, atzlut meaning sluggishness. She does not eat. Tochel, from achal, to eat, a pei aleph verb. Here again we have an o vowel, because historically it would have been probably techel becoming tochel by a dissimilation in the first vowel, changing from a possible sedri form to a chola. Then kamu vaneha vayasheruchu, bala vayachalaluha. That is, her children rise up and they call her blessed. Notice kamu, Qal imperfect, third masculine plural. Excuse me, Qal perfect, third common plural from kum. And vaneha would be her children, vane in construct with ha, your pronominal suffix, third feminine singular, and they call her blessed. Ashar means to bless, and here we have a piel form. Notice the shava followed by the pathat, doubling of the middle radical in this form, and then the u showing it's a plural, and ha, your pronominal suffix, third feminine singular. So her children rise up and call her blessed, her husband, and he praises her. Bala, from Baal again, and again, your third feminine pronominal suffix. Vayahaluhu, here we have another piel form, piel imperfect, third masculine singular, that is, he praises her, followed by the pronominal suffix, a third feminine singular. And so many daughters have done well. Rabot banot asu chayil. Many daughters have done well or valiantly, but you excel them all. Va'at alit al kulana. But you excel them all. Notice here we have the adjective at the first in rabot, and that tends to happen here because normally the adjective refers or appears after the noun, but here with rabot it will often come before, and we're seeing that here. So many daughters have done asu, Qal imperfect, third masculine, third common plural from asa, chayil, valiantly, but you, here we have your personal pronoun, second feminine singular, you have gone above all of them. You are elevated above them all. Allah is the root, and alit, again, this lamed hay form here in the Qal perfect second feminine singular, you have gone above all of them. So grace, as we come to the sheen here, grace is deceitful. Sheker hachein, and beauty is fleeting. V'chavel hayofi. But a woman that fears the Lord, she shall be praised. Isha yirat Adonai, he hit halel. Notice sheker means grace, chen means grace, and sheker, grace is deceitful, and beauty, yofi, is the noun for beauty, is vain. Hevel is that which is transitory, fleeting. And so beauty is fleeting, but an eshet, a woman who yirat Adonai, the woman that fears Yahweh, the Lord, he hit halel, he shall be praised. And notice hit halel is your hit-hayil, passive. It's used passively here. Hit-hayil, imperfect, third feminine singular from halal. She shall be praised. And she makes her praise. And so this is more like a hit-hayil that she has created that's passive in form. So she has created this praise. But a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised. And so what a beautiful conclusion. So give her the fruit of her lips, tenu la mipri yadecha, or I should say, give her the fruit of her hands, and let her works praise her in the gates. Vayahaluhu ba sha'arim ma'aseha. That is, give her, here we have the Qal imperative, second plural, second person plural from Natan. Notice the noon has dropped out in the imperatival form. So give to her, la is your pronominal suffix, third feminine singular, with the preposition la. Give to her from the fruit. Notice peri means fruit, and yadecha, it's in construct, with her hands. Give to her from the fruit of her hands, and let her works praise her in the gates. Vayohaluhu, notice here we have a piel, imperfect, third person plural from halal. So let her works praise her, ba sha'arim, in the gates. Notice sha'ar meaning gate, im is your masculine plural, and ma'aseha is from ma'aseh, work, and here it's in the plural form with the ha, your pronominal suffix, third feminine singular. So what a beautiful, beautiful text describing the eshet-hayil and what the wife of valor should be like. There's a quote that I would like to leave with. It's a quote by McLaren, and I found this in the Jewish Sonsino commentary on the Proverbs. It's a beautiful quote. It reads, "The whole passage is the hallowing of domestic life, a directory for wives and mothers, a beautiful ideal of how noble a thing a busy mother's life may be, an exhibition to young men of what they should seek, and of young women of what they should aim at." A quote from McLaren. Again, I really want to dedicate this to my own wife, Janet, who is my eshet-hayil, A++ and multiple pluses.